Use the code CHICKEN in the shop.
Hey guys, the Chicken is here. We are back today with another Boom Beach video. In today's video, guys, we're getting into your Season 48 starter guide. This is for anybody that has not played Warships a lot, or if you didn't have a good season last season, we're going to get you off on the right track for Season 48. Basic tips and strategy for warships just in general. Sorry, I just got a call. I was distracted there. But yeah, so we're going to go over everything, just the general stuff, guidelines, and takeaways from last season, because I find that, you know, each and every Warship season, even though I've been doing this for almost 50 seasons, whoops, that was muscle memory there. I meant to take the time savers, but that's okay. I still always take away some stuff from the previous season. We're going to talk about that in just a moment. Guys, if you haven't already, if you want to stay up to date on everything that is Boom Beach Warships, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to use that code CHICKEN in the shop. Do appreciate it. And yeah, if you're going to grab instant trading, excuse me, or something like that for the season, then don't forget to throw in that code. Whoops, that's the wrong one. CHICKEN. Use the code. Back. So, let's take a different approach to this video, and we'll talk about some of the basic stuff first. So, we're going to start off with, let's go heavies and doodlers with Dr. Kavan, and let's take on Gearhart. So, going into the season, it's always important to have somewhat of a plan, right? So, to view the tech tree beforehand, before just playing, never just play and start unlocking stuff and being like, you know, because the trap that people fall into at the beginning of the season is you have a lot of tokens and you have a lot of keys right out at the beginning, right? So, you get into, you know, oh, I'm going to unlock this. Oh, this sucks. I'm going to unlock this other thing. That sounds good. I thought, okay, I'm definitely going to go this way. That's the way everybody else is going. By the time you've done that, you've already ruined, like, your first week or so, right? You have to take the perfect path. Now, it's very hard, or I would say it's almost impossible to know by yourself what that perfect path is. So you have to do a couple things. You have to know what's going to be good regardless of the season. So what does that mean? Things like maxing out your landing crafts, things like getting to 3 engines, things like, you know, building health stat nodes, are just always good at the beginning of the season. Typically, we want to go more defensive early and then more offensive mid, and then, you know, it depends on the tech tree after that, but it's typically the guide that we want to follow. It does change depending on what's available, so say, for example, there's Seekers at 3 ERs and there's no shock bombs or shock launchers. Okay, so the goal for everybody in that scenario should be to get to Seekers, right? Because nothing is going to be able to stop them, so that's going to be your push point. That's going to allow you to get ahead. So if you get into the habit of early on spending all of your stuff, that's not a good way to play. That's the worst way to play, and you're just not going to have fun. You know, you can take your own path, your own route, obviously, but in terms of, you know, finishing your best and getting the most out of the game mode, then, you know, that's not really how you want to do it. So, yeah. So have a plan, you know, watch the sneak peeks, you know, take a look at Reddit, Discord, Telegram, whatever your flavor of social media is. I do a guide and a sneak peek on the season every season, so an easy place to stay plugged into is just YouTube. Then you can see and read the comments and see what people are saying and that kind of thing. So, excuse me, I don't know why. Whenever I start doing videos, I can't breathe. So yeah, with that said, have some sort of a plan, and then you don't necessarily have to commit to it. I think the best way to go about Warships, honestly, is to start playing, see what other people are doing, and then either copy that or just based off of that make changes. So, like I said, it's difficult to know what's going to be really good off of the start just by yourself. So watching replays, seeing what other people are doing, you know, talking in your task force, all those things are going to allow you to have a more beneficial start, and it's just going to be more optimized for, you know, what we're trying to do. So let's go into 3 times there, and boom. So, yeah. Now, you kind of have to make the decision somewhat early on while you're looking at the tech tree. And you notice the start is all about tech planning, because that's the most important thing. So, based on the tech tree, are you going offensive? Are you unlocking a lot of stuff? Sorry, are you going defensive? Are you unlocking a lot of stuff? Base routing, what we call it? Or are you tech riding and, just trying to move ahead, skip all the stuff that you really need to compete in the moment and get something that's going to be really good later? You can do that in a couple different ways. So you can do that, for example, heavy choppers at the end of the season. They're usually always good. So if you're okay with, skipping some stuff mid-season, still being able to get a rank chest here and there, and then getting that big push and being one of the first guys to that, that's usually a good play. So there's things like that you can do depending on, where stuff is in the tech tree. Or, a safe bet is just to unlock all of the defenses. I mean, depending on what's available, defensive is usually a good way to go. Now, let's tie this back into last season, okay? Last season, it paid off for me personally to just simply go defensive because we had a lot of DBD. We had a lot of stuff that made defense really good. That's not necessarily true for every season. You have to be careful doing that. You don't really ever want to overcommit too much one way or another in Warships. You usually always get punished for doing that. Sometimes it works out. Again, it just depends on the tree. But the problem with going too defensive is it limits your ability potentially to get chests. It limits your ability to, to get to whatever offensive troop is the strongest. So you just got to be careful on how you go about doing that. But for the most part, it's usually pretty safe, like to unlock cannons and machine guns and flamethrowers and mortars and boom cannons. Mortars are typically the one that maybe we can skip, just depending on the season. But yeah, so there's that option. And the next thing is, let's talk about, once we actually get into actually playing and stuff. So some helpful stuff to do just in general is, number one, watch your replays. Watch the opponent replays, see what they're using, and see how they're using their attacks. So maybe heavy rush is the meta right out of the gates, right? Which it typically is. Maybe there's a flare, maybe there's a smoke pattern, maybe there's something, something you're not doing that you can pick up on your opponent's attack. Why am I losing by 3 seconds? What are they doing? That kind of thing. So stuff like that. And the next biggest thing is if you're still losing and, you've got all the right tech and your tech tree is in order for the most part and, you just can't figure it out. A good thing to do is to change the base fairly frequently. Typically we'll see, the more people playing in the season, the more competitive it is, the more base changes we'll see. So you should almost be changing your base daily, if not twice a day. It depends when you're pushing, right? So if you're pushing right out of the gates, you should have a base. Then probably in a few hours you'll have to change it. Then later on in the afternoon you'll have to change it again. So typically the base changes are more frequent, either the higher rank that you get or just, the amount of time that you've been playing. Because bases are not usually very good for a day or so. Last season, we saw bases being good for multiple days, which was kind of weird. So stuff like that is kind of a one-off. But check your attack, check your base layout, get your tech tree in order. Those are the basic tips. Those are the best things that you guys can do to get off to a good start in Season 48. So those of you Warship vets watching this, throw some comments down below. What are your kind of general tips and strategy for the new guys? Throw that down below in the comments. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching. We also have a new merch drop on the store. It's the top 500 lifestyle, which is pretty funny. And I have some terrible shirts on there too. So I think they're listed below the video. But if not, you can go to the store tab on the channel page. So thank you guys. Appreciate you. Catch you in the next one. Chicken out. Back.